Welcome to Albion TV presents the AO Daily Show, your source of real news in an unreal world, keeping you up to date on the latest news, events, and the great community of Albion Online. Today is Monday, the 2nd of December, and I am your host, Shozen. And with me today, as usual, and most of the time, almost always, is Bogul. How you doing today, Bogul?
Almost always, yes. I'm
Yeah,
always
you're
here,
almost
sir.
always here with almost always.
I'm doing quite okay. How are you doing on this
I'm
very
doing
fine
well.
Monday?
People may notice that they don't get to see my lovely face today because I am once again hosting this show from my bedroom, and my office is once again under construction. I finished the final wall, and it's drying.
It's drying. You painted it?
Yeah, so no, I gooed it. There's like soundproof goo on the wall right now, and it needs to dry.
Mm,
And so it's
okay.
probably dry now, but it wasn't last night when I had time to move stuff in. So I'll
hmm
be moving stuff in later today. I'll be doing an interview later this evening, and we will have that coming for you later in the week. But today, Bogle, today is Monday. It is a last week today, and we like to go over last week. And before we do, go over last week, we got to go over today because today we have some official news. It's Yuletide. The challenge is officially back. The big guy with the hat is out there. People are getting ready to throw their snowballs. It's time to get things done, Bogle.
Sort of, yes. It's the, what's it called? The yearly returning adventurous challenge. We get some nice costumes. We get some nice other cosmetic things to go along with it. The husky will be back. Um,
Yay.
Yay. And this time around, apparently, you also get a bit of Avalonian energy to come uh, in these chests, in the Yuletide Challenge chests. Yes. That is one announcement that happened on Sunday because it's the
Mm-hmm.
first of the month. And at the
Mm-hmm.
first of the month, there is the new challenge starting. So that was one announcement. The other one that we saw was the referral challenge is back with a armored bone horse skin. Apparently, I really like the image they
Ooh.
have there in
Yeah,
the.
that is pretty cool looking. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna start taking some cards out to family functions and just giving them to kids, like my friends' children. I'll just be like, here you go, play this game, and see if any of them will like convince their parents to buy it for them. Then I'll get the referral because I want that bone. Wow, yeah, that bone horse looks sick.
Yeah, so that is for referring one friend, and then there is some other goodies in there if you refer 3 or 5 friends. So a tier 7 pile of tomes for 100,000 fame, or a tier 8 pile of tomes for 200,000 fame.
I need some fame.
Yeah, well, I need that horse, but I will wait until I can buy it for cheap on the market because I don't think I get to refer a lot of people.
Now, now, Bogle, that's the expected news for the today, right?
Right,
Because it's the
yes, yes,
second.
yes.
We expected this news to be announced. We have a PSA that on the 7th, as you guys know, it's Invasion Day once again. It's Invasion Day on the 7th and
Mm-hmm.
the 8th, technically, because the invasion for EU is at 18 UTC, and then the NA1 is at 1 UTC, which is like tomorrow for some people, but today for me. So we'll just say it's the 8th at 1 UTC. And Albion TV will be covering that live on a 15-minute delay, 30 minutes before the reset. Do the math, figure it out. You'll be there. I know it's a good stuff. But today, Bogle, there was more news besides just PSAs, besides known news, besides things that we had become accustomed to seeing on the first, second of the month. What happened, Bogle? What did we get?
We did get a new developer's statement. We have Retroman going to the developers' statements section of the official Albion forums and posting something very interesting that I think is a very big announcement. It is,
Yeah.
in its complexity, fairly straightforward, but it changes a lot of things. It is the upcoming item power adjustments change. Retroman goes into the forums to say that for the next content update Queen, they will adjust the item power progression for all gear, wanting to make high-end gear a bit more powerful in order to give better justification for the cost and to bring down the power level of artifact items and make them more in line with regular items too. And while increasing the impact of artifact item enchantment. And of course,
for artifact enchantment, it's at the higher levels it increases the effectiveness. Early on, it seems to be a bit of a debuff, because this is weird. This is one of those things where the naming of this situation feels a little weird, because as you see the IP scaling, when you get to the higher levels, Bogle, you do see that it scales. Like there's all of a sudden you don't get 100 IP for each enchantment
right
level,
now,
for each
currently
artifact
in the current iteration, you mean?
Well, in the previous iteration, in the current iteration, yes. Like we see this. Okay, not the one that's upcoming, but the upcoming. The upcoming one will remove this debuff, because this is actually a debuff that was put in place because there was a fear that guilds would have more access to the 0.1s, 2s, and 3s of 8s than other guilds, because there were only a few zones that were available on the map that had them, and those materials only spawned inside the territories.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes,
right.
This is
so
from a
they
long
put
time
in
back, right?
Yes, a very long time back. They put in a debuff that made it so that the highest end items you didn't get the full effect from. And so this is, one of the reasons why they're very expensive. They don't give you a lot of bonus. They're not so used. But we're seeing in this next map, and with some of the previous changes as well, that there's going to be just more tier 8, 1, 2, and 3 out in the world.
Probably,
there's just going to be more of it. And it doesn't make sense to continue to have that scaling that we used to have. And these new changes are great. And the changes to artifacts, while they are, I would have to say they're a bit of a nerf, to the current IP. I think it makes it make more sense. Honestly, it just seems a little bit more realistic.
I mean,
I want
two things I want to say. One, another reason for this nerf or change to the item power apparently is that the diminishing returns scaling that we had previously was very confusing, because at the higher you go, the less item power you get per tier, per enchantment, and that seemed to be a little bit too hard to understand. At least it might have been a little bit confusing. So this is an effort to make this a little bit more straightforward. And what you just said, it might be a different time in the world of Albion where tier 8 is maybe more available. That sort of scaling that is needed to prevent too much power is not super needed anymore. I wanted to briefly mention that he says that every enchantment level will now always give you a straight 100 item power on top, even for artifact items. And the artifact level increases the base item power by 25 IP. So as you might know, there are 3 different artifact levels: the runes, the souls, and the relics. And so each of these will be 25 item power stronger. And the example here he uses is that he compares a tier 4 dagger at 700 IP with a tier 4 death givers that would be at 775, so 25 per. And he also gives the example of a base tier 4 dagger at 700 IP. If you enchant it to 0.3, it then has 1,000. So that is quite interesting, I feel like. And it is a lot of underpinning for almost I don't want to say all systems of Albion, but a lot of systems. And I think this will change not only the values of gear, but potentially also how guilds will set up their stockpiles and what they might bring to ZVZs, what they would bring to GVGs. I think this has far-reaching
It's also going to
implications.
change, like, the relative power of artifact gear to relative, like to flat gear, to standard gear. And I'm wondering how that's going to affect their place inside the meta as far as GVGs and stuff. I don't know if it's really going to change that much because it really is the skills that make it important. But
Hmm.
we have seen in the past where people would bring in artifact gear just for the IP bonus. And I don't think that's going to happen anymore.
Um, yeah, there's two values I want to mention very briefly that just for comparison's sake, because people who are listening might not know this on the top of their heads. So before the update in the current version, for example, um, let's say tier 5 item has at enchantment level 3, so the 5.3 has never mind, this gets way too complicated. I will just link that thing in
Yeah,
the
just look.
chat.
It's not complicated, Bogle. That's the thing, is it's not complicated. You just have to
Yeah, the
know where your
problem is
starting IP is.
I sort of wanted to explain this for the listeners only,
Hmm.
but I
Hmm.
think I will spend like 5 minutes reading numbers, and I think we have other things to say.
That would be,
Um,
yeah.
my takeaway is that on the lowest levels, tier 4, tier 5,
Hmm.
it goes, it sort of stays similar, but at tier 7, tier 8, the increased item powers really start to become more visible. And at tier 8, in my mind, it's almost like a 10% buff to the gear in general. And even higher, the highest possible item power you could get
Hmm.
was the point 0.3 artifacts. And
Hmm.
previously it was 1312. And
Hmm.
now after Queen, it will be 1475, which is a good 10%. Yeah. Um, so that's going to be making choosing how you equip your Zerg an
Well, I think it's
interesting
just,
thing.
again, I think it's just that there's something that is no longer necessary. It's no longer necessary to put in the scaling that we had before. And without it, it makes tracking what item power of what items are easier because it's now 100 per level of tier, 100 per level of enchantment. It makes it easy to track, and then
Mm-hmm.
artifacts are 25 just across the board, and each one goes up 25. It's not that hard anymore. I mean, before with the scaling, it was difficult to understand, but it's very standard now. Um,
Yeah.
Also, there's just going to be more of this stuff out there, and I'm expecting we're going to see more of it in ZBZs. 8.1 and stuff will be there.
That's good because I feel like we might have seen a little bit not enough of that in the open world being used. So when you have uncapped zones, it's another things one of these things that make me want to skip time ahead for 2 months and just be like,
Mhm.
well, let's do Queen already.
I know, but we have. I know you want to skip ahead, Bogle, but
Mhm.
today is Monday. And on
Yes.
Monday, we look back.
Mhm.
We look back at the week that was last week. And on Monday of last week, what did we do?
We talked about the previous week.
Exactly, we do the same thing that we do every week on that Monday. And we had some actual news there though. We did announce the winners of the emote contest and gave our first prizes for that. So that was awesome. And now, if you are one of our subs, you can go ahead and drop one of 5 different emotes down. It's a lot of fun, or all 5. You can do as many emotes as you want. Look,
Yay.
Bogle's got the emotes. There you go.
Yeah.
That was Monday. Pretty standard stuff. We looked at the season rankings, I guess, a little bit
Mhm.
just to see them because we're going to do this every week. Throw up the season rankings now, Bogle. So while we're talking about the previous week, people can see them.
So,
Um,
do you want to see the season rankings of the previous week or the current
No, of
week?
this week, of the well, of either or, really. I mean, just some season rankings, Bogle.
Something to show. Okay, I will
Yeah,
put
some season
the
rankings.
current ones on the screen. It's a little bit, But yeah.
There you go. Look at that. Look at those season ranking.
Mhm.
All right. And then on Tuesday, we looked back again, oddly enough, as we looked back on the previous Friday where I wasn't here.
Mhm.
And I played an interview, though. There was an interview with me and Cable, who was a new player who had only been playing for about, I want to say 6-7 days when I interviewed him.
Mhm.
And he had a very peculiar view of Albion. And he had come across some snags. And when we talked about that, we talked about how he felt the game was a little soft and that he didn't really see where things were going, like he expected more PvP. He felt that he was spending too much time in the blue zones, and I was like, yes, you're spending too much time in the blue zones, get out. And we talked about that for a day and all the different problems that new players generally experience, because it was Newbie Tuesday and we were thinking to ourselves, let's talk about new player problems today. And we did that, not just how to get tips and stuff, but what they experience and what they need help, what we can, I don't know, it's like I feel like we're looking at how we can make the game better going forward, and we need to always look at what's stopping people from continuing to play. And the place where we lose the most players is when they go from the blue zones to progressing to the red zone. And it's not necessarily in the yellow zone. That's what the mods and other GMs call the great filter, but it's really the whole progress to the PvP itself. It's like if they get into the PvP, they stay. If you can learn to lose and love it and then find the content for what it is, you'll have a great time. But if you're somebody who stays in that blue zone mentality of that you're supposed to always win and it's, danger should be avoided at all costs, then you're probably not going to really ever love this game. And how can we teach players how to love it earlier? How can we teach them to sacrifice earlier? And that's kind of what we went over on Tuesday.
Yes. On Wednesday, then, we saw the Percival patch 11 on the test server. Usually Wednesdays is our patch day in Albion, but this Wednesday last week, we just saw the notes. So we said, well, why don't we look at a GVG activity comparison instead? So we looked at the first 10 days of Season 7 and compared it to the first 10 days of this Avalonian invasion season. We looked at the Crystal GVG activity, we looked at the normal GVG activity, and we sort of tried to figure out who was active so far. And one thing sort of shocked us, right?
Yeah. Do you want to just how many GVGs can Money Guild do? How many can they do? The answer is they did 130 territorial GVGs in 10 days. And then another 100, I think, in 6 crystal GVGs, which is just ridiculous. That's so many more than anybody else has done ever. It's just mind-boggling. And they're still not in first place, mind you.
Yeah, talking about first place, I think we'll do that later because we still have Thursday and Friday to go before we look at the current beginning of week 3 season rankings.
Okay.
On Thursday, you had your little getaway, I suppose, where you put a lot of roasted chicken in your face.
Yeah, I did. I ate some turkey. It's not chicken. It's turkey. There's a slight difference in the bird. I don't think Ben Franklin ever said, let's make the chicken the official bird of America. But he did try to do that with the turkey. No, it was Thanksgiving, and for us Americans, we like to get together with our families on this day, eat a bunch of grub, and just hang out and just spend time chatting and trying not to talk about politics. It's generally what people try to do, and I had a lovely Thanksgiving, and I was also able to provide you guys with yet another interview, this time with GV Black, I believe.
Yeah, the main shot caller and council member of a famous, infamous guild in Albion, the Fricks. And he not only told us how they approach managing a guild in Albion, because I think they proclaim themselves the most democratic guild in Albion. They also confirmed that indeed Fricks are still recruiting.
They did confirm that. They did. But they also went over a lot of great drama that has happened in their guild. They told some stories. Well, he told some stories. He was a very easy interview to do. I really enjoyed my time with him. And if you are looking for a guild, Fricks are recruiting. They're also, I think, at this point, going to be recruiting an alliance because, what happened on Thursday? Well, that was Thursday. What happened on Friday, Bogle? What did we find out on Friday?
I think their previous alliance sort of folded, or at least they got removed from the alliance. Now,
Yeah, they did.
Which one was it? The Ecstasis alliance that now doesn't exist anymore. Is that correct?
Once. Once.
Yeah, once. Okay.
Once.
Just because it's not on the season rankings anymore, just to make sure that I'm not saying random things today.
Yeah, they're gone. They disappeared pretty quick.
Disappeared. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we figured out some history there, and then on Friday, what did we do on Friday?
We found out Fricks got removed Thursday night, and then into Friday we found that Vastly Superior got kicked when I believe Blue Army was led to them by Ecstasis, I want to say, and then they were kicked from, or they dropped. I'm not sure if they dropped or kicked. I got it right the first time with Vastly Superior, but then Vastly Superior was out. Fricks got kicked. Then the next day, Vastly Superior basically broke up.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it took a couple of days. It took like 3 days between all these things, because I believe the situation with Blue Army and Vastly Superior and Ecstasis happened on Tuesday, and then we didn't have a show. I wasn't there to report on it. It was done through the interview, which was on delay, and then by Friday, Vastly Superior had broken up. And I'm going to be getting more information on the Vastly Superior breakup in the near future. Hopefully, I'll be doing an interview with someone on that. And it's a real shame to hear that Asterial left, because I think that's bigger news than even VS breaking up. Is that Asterial, the best rapper in all of Albion, is leaving. And it's because of the drama, not the game. And whenever you hear that, you're like, well, can't we just find you a new forever home? Can't we just help you meet a nice guy, or 17 or 299 that you can play with and have a good time? Because you hate to hear about somebody leaving because of drama. Yeah, especially when they're a good player who adds to the community like Asterial.
Oh well. Shout out to Asterial, though. We just did an interview with him a while back. So if you want to delve into a little bit of nostalgia, you can still listen to that on this very channel. But then on Friday, we had to talk about the patch that we expected on Wednesday, but happened on Friday. The Percival patch
was
11.
Wednesday patch day on a Friday, yeah.
Wednesday patch day on a Friday.
Yeah, like Taco Tuesday on a Friday. But it was Wednesday patch day.
So in that one, we got the Uncle Frost dungeon, or him appearing. We got a sort of new adventurer's avatar. We got some big changes to the Avalonian mobs. The archers got nerfed in terms of their fame, but buffed in terms of their HP. The game also received a bunch of balance changes. One of them being the rending bleed on the axis being
which is really cool.
And I can already read a lot of discussion about that some people think it's pretty strong, to say carefully.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah.
It's already you've heard some news on that, have you?
Well, I just looked at the forums, to be honest, and then there's a bunch of people are like, "Hey, can you undo this, please? Hello, Dev?" And then a lot of people like that. So we'll have to see what they do. But that was one of the many balance changes that happened on Friday, including the healing sickness debuff increase from 2 to 5 seconds, and too many to discuss right now. But we spent the whole show.
My favorite is still that bubble bogle. I still like the idea of changing the way the bubble works. Like, I gotta tell you, the arcane bubble. And that was the thing, is there's a lot of those changes were to skills that affect the whole tree, and I liked seeing that. So we're gonna see how those work. Maybe it'll bring like the changes to holy. We'll see how those affect things. It's gonna be interesting. But we also had, and this wasn't us, Bogle, but we've talked about this in the past, the Healing Academy with Lissy Tank on the Albion News 24 on Sunday. They did 201 of that class. So if you were
the Healing Academy, what's that? That sounds like some spooky spirit healer putting his hands on your face.
Maybe a weird anime. Sure, okay. Healing Academy, like Cooking Academy or Hero Academy or any of these 17 other academies that they have on anime. But no, this is Healing Academy with Lissy Tank on Albion News 24, where he the Brave Academy. Okay, Albion News is telling me it's Brave Academy. All right, Brave Academy presents Healing with Lissy Tank. There you go. It was supposedly a pretty good healing lesson to get you even further than the first one did. So, yeah, we had quite a week here in Albion. Let's get to the rankings, Bogle. Now that we've gone through the week that was, let's talk about the rankings that were and what they are now before we head out of here.
Sure. Give me 1 second to put this up on the screen. Bloop. So, first off, we see the new rankings on the screen right now. We see that Arrow 404 is still in first place. They almost doubled their points since last week. They are followed by Money Guild with a 5k points difference. Money Guild being at 53 and Arrow 404 being at 58k season points. Third place in the season rankings is still the same, Dynastia with 36k points, up from 21k last week. In fourth place, we see a little bit of a change. June overtook Ecstasis. For fourth place, Ecstasis goes down to fifth. And in sixth place last week, we saw War Gods, but they are just not on the top 20 anymore.
Wow. 23 for War Gods. That's quite a drop. We should effing chat them on Friday. Holy crap.
Well, and then in sixth place, we have now Phrasing. Seventh is Sun. Eighth is RAQ, which is a guild that we are not super familiar with yet, but that we sort of want to learn something about, right? According to the description, it looks like they are a Russian guild led by Please. Please is a famous community member, I think healer, who does a lot of streaming. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's a chance for us to talk to him if the opportunity allows. And then in ninth place, we have Blue Army with 23k points. And I guess for good measure, 10th place, we can mention Conflict with 23k as well. And then
it hit up that hard hitting our Didi.
11th, yeah.
I just love mentioning the Ultimate Italian Guild whenever we have a chance. But the thing that steps out here, Bogle, and it sticks out like a sore thumb. Mm-hmm. We have June, Ecstasis, Sun, RAQ, all no alliance
guilds, yeah.
Yeah. And Arrow 404
as well
is an alliance of one guild. Yeah. So that's interesting. The point sharing is really, really affecting the way things are working. We hear, I've just heard from Fun Stealer that there are rumors that before the point split, Money Guild has an insane amount of points. Well, yeah, but they have to split it with like 17 other dudes.
Actually, they have to split it with 1, 2, 3. Target, Team Casual, TT Party, AW
It's
Gaming,
like
New J Cove, AW Academy, One Eagle 2, and Zoned Out. So that's a few, yes.
it's not 17. I was exaggerating, Bogle. Let's be clear. It wasn't a literal 17. It was an exaggerated 17.
Well, better make sure than,
Yeah, but it's a few. They're splitting it a few ways, is what I'm saying. It's not like they're getting all their points.
Yeah. And that brings us to the next two things that we will look at today in terms of rankings. We have the territories owned, because that's always an interesting indicator. For this week, we see Money Guild with 134 territories owned, which is
That's
not
a lot
quite
of territories.
The highest one. I think Money Guild
it's
had
not. Yeah, they have the
146.
highest. Yeah, they have the record as the most, but they have a lot right now.
Followed by Arrow 404 with only 40 territories, which is 3 times less. And then we have Phrasing with 36, June with 36, Ironborn with 28, and Blue Army with 17 territories, which is an interesting thing if you look at the whole landscape. But I wanted to just mention it briefly for historic purposes so we can see how this develops over time. And then the last one I wanted to bring up is the Alliance version of this case, the territory owned situation. And there we see Upset, the Money Guild Alliance, with 158 territories owned, followed by the Ego Alliance in second place with 42 territories owned, and third place is just Arrow 404 with 40 territories. Yeah.
Not bad, Arrow 404. I got to give them some credit here. They're doing very well this season. But, oof. So, didn't we see that somebody had lost like 20 territories, Bogle?
Let me find this. I think we had the Familia Alliance last week. I think they had 30-something territories. Let me find it. Da-da-da. Yes, 38 territories, and now they're down to 18. So that's our loser of the week, I suppose.
Is that because of the changes inside the Alliance? Let's take a quick look to see if that's inside the Alliance changes to Familia. Did they drop somebody? Because it's Dynastia and Arditi right now.
I think,
yes. You know who was in last week?
I don't remember. I don't have the image there for last week's Familia Alliance members. But if it's just Dynastia and Arditi, there must have been some change, yes.
Nirnasha. Yeah, that's what it was. Thank you.
Nirnasha left. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for that. I got that from a bunch of you. A couple of tells. We appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Yeah, it's right now. It is so hard to keep up with the Alliance. Like, who's in what Alliance right now? It's ridiculous.
I mean, I feel like we are starting to see sort of crystallize out the contenders for the season, especially since we have a sort of bigger investment in the or from the individual guilds. So I am curious whether or not Money Guild will get fed up with having to share their points, or if they are sort of banking on Arrow 404 not being able to keep up that pace. But in terms of other guilds, we see, as you mentioned earlier, that there's a lot of single guilds competing. And the season is not that long. So, I mean, we have the holidays in between, but I still give these guys a bunch of stamina to still, likely be able to duke it out over the next, 60 days?
Jeez, we still have some time left, don't we, guys?
Yeah. And double points will be.
It's not 60 days, Bogle. It's 50 days.
Yeah, ish.
It's actually 49, but who's counting?
Well, it says on the screen, right? Never mind. Yeah. So that's an interesting third week, the beginning of the third week. as I
No, it
said,
does say on the screen. It says 47.
yeah,
We're both wrong. Okay. Wow.
we have the first contenders. We have to see how they will do over the next few weeks based on history. We, of course, sort of the only one in the, well, the only two in the top 5 are June and Money Guild, I suppose, who have been top 5 places, if I'm not totally lying.
Well, no, Error 404 has made a top 5 placing before, haven't they?
I'm looking, season 4.
Maybe not. Maybe.
No.
Wow. Okay.
Nope.
Well, congratulations to Arrow 404 stepping it up then once again.
Yeah. And yeah, that's the beginning of the 3rd week for you here. Anything else, Shozen, that we have from last week?
No.
No. Okay. I suppose then it's time to remind everybody that we will have a invasion/reset day coming up on the next weekend, which is the
this can
20 which date is that? 7th.
the
7th of December.
The 20th of December, also known as the 7th. This weekend coming up. Bogul's really looking forward to Christmas, everyone. We're taking off from I believe it's the 21st. We're back here for another invasion.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to be off that entire week for Christmas and then back for, I think, 2 days before the new year. So it's going to be an interesting holiday season for everyone for sure. I don't know how you guys are going to handle this without us for an entire week. I hope when we come back, you guys will rejoin us because I know that consistency is king. And if we're gone for an entire week, you guys could find somebody else to watch.
No, I think everybody will be busy eating a lot of Christmas food with their grandma or trying to get ready for New Year's and, I don't know, using the fairly common holidays to relax. Maybe play some Albion. But yeah, the holiday season is always challenging, I feel like, for a lot of guilds. So why don't you guys take it slow during that time? I know the drama level can be very high because a bunch of people have a lot more time to play, and a bunch of people don't have as much time as usual.
Are we going to be in double points
in January
for holidays? No, for holiday. Or does that start on the 4th?
On the 4th, yeah.
Okay, thank God. I was going to say, if we are on double points while people are away for the holidays,
no.
that would kill guilds.
No. I think they chose this one sort of, cleverly to have the season, important dates of the season begin when people have time. So just December 21st will be a reset day 2. And then we sort of have relaxing times, and then on January 4th we'll be back in the action, and we will be covering all the reset days, at least the next 4 or 5, here on Albion TV as well.
Yeah. We'll any of the ones that are on the weekends we'll be covering. We did some extra math this month and last to make sure we would have it in the budget to get these to you guys because I think it's important. I don't think we're ever going to have anything like this where we're going to see this kind of action happen so quickly, one after another, in the foreseeable future. We might one day, again, Robin seemed, open to the idea of, maybe in the future seeing something like this again, but we don't know. There's no plans for it. Who knows, right? So since we don't know, we're going to make sure that we get every moment out of it and get as much of it onto the Twitches for you guys.
Yes. Okay. Any shout-outs, announcements for this upcoming week you want to make, or are we going to overtime today? What's the plan, Shozen?
Well, we'll do an overtime, but I don't have any special shout-outs other than I'm going to be doing an interview, and we'll see how that goes tonight. And then I don't know if we're going to do that tomorrow or later in the week. We'll see how it goes depending on what our schedule falls in.
Okay.
But Other than that, nope. You can catch us Monday through Friday, 18 UTC, right here on twitch.tv/Albion Online, later at youtube.com and soundcloud.com/AlbionTV. And guess what? On Tuesday through Thursday, Bogle, we try to do a thing we call Albion Live, which is where we do live Crystal GVGs and GVGs with highlights in between with our favorite casters, the great Taziki and the Lupak of the Middle East, Lupak. And we do that, 19 UTC Tuesday through Thursday right here on Twitch.
Yes, sir. So we will be going away for just a minute or two to visit the what's the word, facilities?
Yeah, I'm gonna go use the facility. Yeah.
And then we will do like another 10-15 minutes of talking to Twitch chat. So see you in a bit. Talk to you in a bit.